please welcome to the stage Helping Paws Executive Director, Elisa.
I just need to recover from that for a second. That was really amazing. So thank you all very, very much for what you just did. We have a lot to be grateful for in this room. Thank you. This is my first gala that I've had to use cheaters, so yay, I've been here for a while. Okay, yeah, all right. Good evening and welcome to the Radisson Blu Tail Waggin Dinner 2025, A Night of Heroes. I am Elisa Golub, Executive Director of Helping Paws. Tonight, we celebrate over a decade of our Veterans and First Responders program, an effort that has transformed lives through the extraordinary bond of humans and service dogs. When I joined Helping Paws nearly 4 years ago, I understood what a service dog could do for someone with a physical disability. But I'll admit, I didn't fully grasp what these dogs meant for veterans and first responders. That changed the moment I met some of our graduate teams. What began as curiosity quickly turned into awe and pride. The dogs have an emotional intelligence that many humans can only aspire to. Over and over again, I've heard from our graduates that being matched with a Helping Paws dog gave them their life back. And it's those life-changing teams that we are here to honor tonight. In the 10 years of the program, we have matched 61 veteran and first responder teams. For those still waiting, the path can be long, but as a veteran graduate once told me, even getting that call that your application has been accepted can bring a spark of hope. And sometimes hope is all we need to get through the next day. Before a dog meets its person, it undergoes more than 2.5 years of training. Every step of the way, a village of dedicated staff and volunteers pour their time, talent, and heart into that journey. We understand how crucial these training years are for our dogs and graduates. Now, more than ever, it is essential for our industry to refine the standards that define what a service dog is and the necessary training to achieve that status. With the increasing attention on Helping Paws and other accredited training programs, we have a unique opportunity to ensure uniform training requirements and regulations regarding public access and public education to identify imposter service dogs. Recently, staff from Senator Moran of Kansas visited Helping Paws to learn more about our program and explore potential federal legislation to help mitigate those improper use of service designations. At the state and local levels, there is also significant interest in introducing legislation addressing these issues. We will keep you updated on all these efforts through the legislative process and into the spring, so please stay tuned. I want to thank our incredible breeding, canine health, training, and placement team led by Sue Cleaver for their expertise, creativity, and compassion. Yeah. Supporting them is our outreach and volunteer team led by Chelsea Bosak. Yes. With more than 175 active volunteers, people who train, dog sit, walk dogs, stuff envelopes, we are grateful for each of you. And those who serve on committees like our Tail Waggin Dinner committee, if you're in the room, raise your hand, you're awesome. Yes, okay. Chaired by your MCs tonight, Sarah and Will Huffman, thank you for all you did to make tonight happen. You are the foundation of our mission. Please give them another hand. A special thank you goes out to our development team who works daily to ensure this mission is funded and sustainable. And tonight, I want to give a heartfelt shout out to Luis Ventura, our event and corporate relations manager, for orchestrating another outstanding gala. And to Jonathan Kramer for capturing this event through pictures, messaging, and video. Let's give him one more set of applause. We cannot gather tonight without acknowledging the profound loss our community endured on June 14th. Just over 3 months ago, Melissa, Mark, and Gilbert Hortman were senselessly murdered in their home. Moments before, John and Yvette Hoffman were shot multiple times and miraculously survived. At this time, I ask that we all take one moment of silence in memory of our dear friends, Mark, Melissa, and Gilbert Hortman. Many of you know the Hortmans were longtime volunteers and dog trainers with Helping Paws. Their first dog, Minnie, trained by Sophie and Mark Hortman, was successfully placed with a veteran and is still in service. Yeah? Their second, Sweet Gilbert, a joyful golden retriever, was lovingly trained by Melissa, but ultimately career changed and adopted by the family. Yes, we call it a career change. Sharing the story of the Hortmans and their relationship with Helping Paws has not been easy, as it carries so much emotion. This tragedy impacted our staff, volunteers, and Helping Paws community, and there is profound sadness. Each time someone in our community shares their story, we are reminded of just how deeply the Hortmans' involvement with Helping Paws inspires and impacts us all. So we will continue to share their stories and be inspired by their dedication to our community. Part of that story is here tonight. After the shooting, 2 extraordinary FBI agents rushed Gilbert to Ally Veterinary Emergency and Referral, where the team did everything possible to save him. In his honor, Allied raised funds for service dogs in the community. Earlier tonight, with the help of generous donors, we presented a $10,000 check to support their Angel Fund for pet owners unable to afford emergency care. Thank you, Allied, for your commitment and for being here tonight. Gilbert will always be connected to us both. I also want to thank Embrace Our Souls, whose owners, Emily and Jane, have joined us tonight. They created the beautiful memorial bracelets that many of us are now wearing in honor of Melissa, Mark, and Gilbert. These bracelets resonated far and wide, raising over $25,000, which was contributed to Helping Paws. Get your bracelets at Kowalski's. Those funds and other funds contributed in memory of the Hortmans will now support the newly established Hortman Heroes Fund, dedicated to our work with veterans and first responders with PTSD. Now y'all have to bear with me a second. Sophie and Colin, thank you for being here with your wonderful family and friends. We will never pretend to understand your pain, but we will be here to be part of those in your circle who hold you up. A photo often used in the media shows you with your parents and Gilbert. We, along with our new friends at Polar Bear Chronicles, had that image become a piece of art for each of you. In the midst of darkness, we hope it brings you a little light, a reminder of the joy and love that always surrounded you. We say your parents and Gilbert's names often. We will continue to say them, and we will carry their legacy forward every single day. Please accept this gift from Helping Paws, Scott Tovey of Polar Bear Chronicles, and artist Andrea Pearson. Scott is right behind you and has these paintings for you now. I thought we had a picture of them, but maybe not. That's okay. Thank you for standing by Helping Paws in the midst of your grief. You are both incredibly strong, and your parents would be so proud. We are here for you, always. Yes, we are grieving, but tonight we are also celebrating the life-changing impact of our dogs, celebrating the resilience of our community, and celebrating the opportunity to raise critical funds needed to continue this work. Tonight marks the kickoff of our annual campaign. Whether you bid in the silent auction or will be raising your paddle later this evening, your generosity ensures we can continue to breed, train, and place these amazing dogs. Our new initiative that will continue the dream of more dogs, more impact is 4 Paws Forward. It is our comprehensive plan to ensure we place more dogs each year. Your contributions this evening and going forward will ensure we have the capacity to reduce the wait time for these life-changing dogs, which is currently at 3 years. Tonight, you have the opportunity to change lives. To our corporate sponsors listed in your program, thank you. To our volunteers and board members, thank you. And to everyone here tonight, thank you. Thank you for believing in our mission and standing by us. We cannot continue to gift, yes, I said gift, these service dogs to those who need them most without your support. As the evening continues, you will hear from staff, lay leaders, and veterans and first responder graduate teams who brought this program to life. As you listen, I ask you to consider, where would these heroes be if they had not been matched with a Helping Paws service dog? I now turn your attention to our two impact speakers, Harry Hurley, past board president, and Brian Bergson, veteran graduate with his dog, Vanek. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
So, hello and welcome, everybody. Before I say anything, for all of you that this is your first time here, remember all those puppies you saw out in the hallway? Those are now in here under the tables and you don't even hear them. So this is for the puppies that are in here. So, my name is Harry Hurley. I'm a Vietnam era veteran. I started working with Helping Paws about 30 years ago when my wife, who worked for Hennepin County, met a lady named Charlene. She had the second Helping Paws service dog. She was in a wheelchair, and the dog was helping her with her work as a social worker. And my wife came home one day and said, you know, they're having a golf tournament here at Helping Paws. You ought to volunteer and go on the committee. It'll only take about an hour a month. So I said, certainly. And the next year, Pam Anderson came to me. She said, you know, we need a new chair of this committee. So I went home and asked my wife, it'll only take about an hour a month. She said, go ahead. So I became chair of the committee. About 2 years later, Pam came to me, we'd like somebody to run for the board. And of course, my wife said, about an hour a month. So yes, go ahead. As you all know, anybody here who works with Helping Paws, it's easy to get very involved with the organization. A couple of years later, Pam came to me, we'd like you to be president of the board. My wife says, maybe an hour a month. I found out as president, you were on every committee. It's a little bit more than an hour a month. And after the second year there, this was a time when taxes had changed and people weren't giving money to nonprofit organizations. Helping Paws board had to make some really tough decisions. Did we reduce the number of dogs we placed? Did we cut the staff? And as we were going through all these dilemmas and all these problems, Eileen Bone, the founder of Helping Paws, came to me and said, Harry, we have this new program we'd like to talk to the board about. It's service dogs for veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, commonly referred to as PTSD. The board looked at that. We just said, yes, we'll give this a try. And Eileen asked for like a 9-month trial for it. About a month later, Pam Anderson, one of the other directors, said, we have this speaker. His name is Luis Montalvan. He's a veteran with a service dog named Tuesday. He wrote a book about it. So Pam brought him into town. We went to the Chanhassen American Legion. We did a fundraising tournament for the Helping Paws service dog, and the board says, we have puppies, we have veterans. Can't get any better than this. So we approved the program, and that's how it got started. Since then, I've been happily involved with many of the organizations like the American Legion in Mound, where some of the volunteers here and some of the foster homes came and said, you know, we should do something for that veterans program. So we started a beanbag tournament. We've had one every year. If any of you are free, the day before the Super Bowl, we have a veterans tournament there. At every tournament, we have a veteran who just recently graduated with a PTSD service dog come and speak. There's not a dry eye in the house. We also have an organization called Silent Warrior Project. Angie Foley, who's here tonight, I convinced her to help me with the board. We had retreats for veterans suffering from PTSD. We had 3-day retreats where we taught from this mindfulness-based stress reduction, contemplative silent reflection. Just about every retreat we have, somebody had a service dog. I remember the first retreat we had, one of the service dogs got up from the veteran that they were with, went over to another veteran that was having a turmoil and a problem with the trigger for their PTSD, put their head on the veteran's lap and calm them down. That's something you can't train. That's something the dogs learn. So with that, every time that I see a veteran with a service dog, I know what it does for their lives. And in every case, the veterans have always told us it saves their lives. So with that, and in a few minutes, we're going to have a video that talks about how this program got started. But before we do that, we'd like to thank all those people here tonight who have come in, especially the first responders. So if all the police officers, firefighters, first responders, EMTs would please stand and be recognized, or raise your hand if you're able. We'd like to thank you for all the service you've given to us, for our health and for our safety. Next, we'd like to recognize all the veterans and active military. So all veterans and active military members, would you please stand and get recognized? Would you please remain standing? Please remain standing. We have a gift for you. So the Helping Paws staff has a gift for each of you. And we have one more over here. And so on behalf of myself and Helping Paws, for all those veterans, especially for any other Vietnam veterans, welcome home. Thank you.
Those who have served our country and communities have earned our gratitude and support. Veterans and first responders often live with lasting, unseen challenges, even long after their missions are finished and jobs completed.
Was there a way that we could help? We can't help everybody, but we could help a few. And could we do that through the use of service dogs? And people who are familiar with Helping Paws knows the impact that Helping Paws has, and these dogs have on anybody that gets one.
Eileen Bowen came to me and said, we have this new program. It's veterans with PTSD. We provide service dogs for them. So we went to the board and we said, that's a fantastic idea. Then Pam Anderson also came to us and said, there's this gentleman, his name is Luis Montalban, and he goes around speaking around the United States. He created this book, it's called Until Tuesday. Tuesday was the name of his service dog. And so she said, we think we should bring him in. We went to the Chaska American Legion, have a little fundraiser dinner, and have him explain to everybody exactly what does a service dog do for a veteran. We went and saw that and we said, no, there's no question. This is the way we should be going.
We were looking at ways we could expand our programs to place more dogs to benefit more people. And in my professional life, I'm actually a clinical psychologist, and I did a training year at the Minneapolis VA Medical Center in Minneapolis and worked with veterans who had PTSD.
You know, it wasn't hard to sell us on the idea that assistance dogs could help these serious problems that our members of the military were coming home with.
But anytime you start either a new venture or a new avenue in a business or an organization, it takes money, it takes planning, it takes time. You have to plan it out. And thankfully, we had the people in the Helping Paws organization, particularly Pam and Eileen, along with Harry and Russ, who really jumped in and made this happen.
Today, Helping Paws works year-round to train and place service dogs with veterans and first responders living with service-related PTSD.
Most of the people that come to Helping Paws looking for a dog to mitigate their PTSD typically aren't in the best place in their life at the moment. As veterans, we really struggle a lot with hypervigilance in public, a lot of triggers from being surrounded by a lot of activity. And what I get to see in this position, and I see the growth in our clients, is once they have a dog and they've bonded with this dog, all of that outside noise melts away and they just kind of focus on the dog, making going out in public a much more relaxing and rewarding endeavor, instead of just holding up and isolating like we have a tendency to do.
None of this remarkable process would be possible without the generous support of our corporate partners. They come from different places in the community, but their commitment to helping veterans is the common bond.
Hi, I'm Sean Sminette from Motorworks BMW. As a Marine Corps veteran, supporting those that serve, both on the battlefield and here at home, is something I carry close to my heart. That's why I'm proud to partner with Helping Paws. Their service dog program for veterans and first responders changes lives in ways words can't fully express. And that's why I'm honored to stand behind it.
I'm Jane Ward. Well, Eastern Star is a worldwide organization. The purpose is to make a difference in the world with charitable giving, with friendship, and loving kindness to all mankind. So it fit with Eastern Star and Helping Paws because I was doing something for other people that I turned out to be pretty good at. And I could see my results in the people that have my dogs.
In moments of gratitude, a veteran has the opportunity to say what their Helping Paws service dog has meant to their lives.
I went through 10 years of undiagnosed PTSD, and then I retired from the military, and I was just really lost and didn't know what to do or where to go and how to live with this, live with PTSD. And then, I found Helping Paws. Messaged Jane and I said that, where I'm at, that I wouldn't be here without Peyton, and Peyton wouldn't be here without Jane.
Many veterans and first responders face anxiety, hypervigilance, sleep disturbances, and a deep sense of isolation. Their Helping Paws service dog offers more than companionship. They provide critical support that helps their partners reclaim independence, confidence, and hope. These highly trained dogs perform specific tasks tailored to their partner's needs, creating space in crowded environments, waking their person from nightmares, and applying calming pressure during moments of distress. And all the while, standing by their side, offering steady companionship, support, and unconditional love.
We're not saying this colloquially when we say these dogs save lives. Of course, ever since the foundation of Helping Paws, we know that these dogs change lives, and that continues to happen with the Veteran and First Responder program, with an additional aspect of, I have multiple firsthand stories of how these dogs have saved the lives of their handlers.
Behind every Helping Paws graduate is a community of volunteers and donors who make this life-changing partnership possible. This is the Helping Paws commitment to our heroes. Now, it is our turn to provide for those who have devoted so much of themselves to protect us.
Please welcome to the stage Helping Paws veteran graduate Brian Bergson with his dog Vanek.
That's a long walk. And I'm already crying. I'm an ugly crier too. And I don't know, I don't make any apologies for crying, so I might lose it a few times here, but I'm very thankful. My name is Brian Bergson, and I was a captain in the United States Army and the United States Air Force with 23 years of service. He's hungry. I'm also a two-time graduate of the Helping Paws Veterans and First Responders class. Before I get started, I'd like to thank our corporate sponsors, Bremer Bank, the McGuire Agency, Eden Prairie Lifestyle, Robert Half, Tonka Bottle, Rolex Vans, AT&T, like a 30-year customer. Need some more minutes. Solomon Strategies Group, SFM, Motorworks BMW. Got an 80 323i gray market, need some help. The Order of the Eastern Star, I'm a Mason. Ember Grove Heights Animal Hospital. DAVANNI''S, pizzas and hoagies at their absolute best. Devani's, shout out Dark Star. Melting Pot, Plymouth Lions Club, Matthew Koch Foundation, and Pet Evolution. And if I've forgotten somebody, I do have a really bad memory. Back in 1983, my mom put me on a Greyhound bus at the Tulip Shop in downtown Cloquet with tears in her eyes, and she gave me a hug and a roll of Lifesavers as I took the 2-hour bus ride to the Military Processing Center in downtown Minneapolis, right across from the Milwaukee Road railway station. After graduating basic training, I was stationed in West Germany in the most easternly deployed division in the United States Army, the 1st Armored Division. Hey, drop. We were close enough to East Germany and Czechoslovakia that the Russians would jam our radios. We were constantly on alert and close enough to the commies that we could exchange one-fingered salutes. My time quickly passed, and I came back to the University of Minnesota, where I joined Army ROTC and the Minnesota Guard, and I deployed twice, once for Desert Storm and once for the conflict in Bosnia. While I was in college, I was active in student government and was elected student body president. It took me 7 years to get out of college, and my dad joked that it took me longer to graduate than it did for him to become a dentist. After graduation, I was elected to the Minnesota House of Representatives, where I represented Osseo, Brooklyn Park, and Champlin. I had one really tough precinct. It was the precinct that surrounded Edinburgh Golf Course. And I lost that precinct both times I ran, and I only had one lawn sign in that precinct. Can anyone guess whose house that sign was in front of? It was the Hortmans. After losing my election or re-election, I went into consulting because if you can't play it, coach it. So I did, and I eventually became a lobbyist for a labor union where I fought for workers' rights, safe working conditions, and domestic partner health care benefits. I worked on so many campaigns that I've forgotten most of them, but I do remember working for Lori Swanson, the Attorney General, and when she won, she hired me to be her Director of Legislative Affairs and her press secretary. General Swanson worked from 9 in the morning till midnight, 7 days a week, and I just gotten married, and it was really tough to hold those kind of hours. Plus, I was old. So I left to go into private practice where I became a corporate lobbyist, and I worked for many big companies helping them navigate the local and federal government. This entire time I served in the Guard and then the U.S. Army Reserve. Then September 11th happened. My 20 years was up and I ended up getting out of the Army. I felt bad, but we had a child on the way and my career was going gangbusters. My friends, however, started deploying and deploying and deploying. Sadly, I have friends that spent 10 years at war. And I'm not kidding about that. They would get home, they would get time off, and they would deploy again. One friend got married, and he was home, I don't know, maybe 2 out of those 10 years. And that's when the guilt swept over me, and the urge to serve again became real. So I went to the closest base, the 934th Air Reserve Base, right across from where you take off from Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. And not the Army, of course. I thought I'm too old to bounce around in a tank again, so I'll join the Air Force. It will be, it will be easy. Wrong. I was 48 when I deployed to Kandahar, Afghanistan with the 451st Air Expeditionary Wing, doing air trans. What's that? Well, it's mostly loading and unloading aircraft, load planning all those aircraft, running the airfield, and everything that you can think of with an airport. My job mostly dealt with people and helping units come into country and then others going home. Sadly, we also loaded our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines back onto those aircraft in transfer cases, which are those flag draped coffins you see on TV. There's no greater duty than ensuring these heroes were treated with the utmost respect and dignity. I was there during the height of the surge in 2011, so sadly we did a lot of that loading. The memory of watching those transfer cases being carried onto the plane by their buddies was really hard to let go. And I get that memory daily when I see our flag flying around town. During Holy Week of 2011, I was wounded, injured, or hurt, or whatever you want to call it. And people ask me what happened, and I just say, well, it was the worst day of my life. And I don't want to talk about it. I come from a long line of service members in my family. My grandfather was an ambulance driver in World War I. My dad was a corpsman in the Navy, which they attached to Marines in World War II in Korea. My grandfather was awarded the highest medal for valor by the French government. And both of them struggled when they got home. My grandfather only talked about the happy stories. You know, when veterans get together, they talk about stuff that I can't talk about here. And my grandfather would only tell me, well, we went to Paris and we had fun. And one night we decided to not sleep in the back of our ambulance and we got shelled. And we came out in the morning and the ambulance was gone. And I just can't imagine what he was going through. And my dad, he just never talked about anything. Both of them tried to put all of their stress and their trauma and put it in a box and put it in the back of the closet and not talk about it. So when I got home, I did the same thing. Put all that trauma I endured, all the memory of those transfer cases, the blood and the gore, and just stick it in a box and try to forget about it. Well, what do you do when you try to forget about something that you can't forget about? It eats you up inside. I come from the old Army where it was suck it up and drive on. You know, we don't have time to worry about your feelings. Bleep your feelings is was the mantra. And so I really didn't get taught on how to handle the stress. And I didn't want to go to sleep at night, because when I went to sleep, I'd have these horrible nightmares where I'd relive what happened to me. And I also had some physical problems due to my TBI, which is traumatic brain injury. And I was a complete and total mess, nightmare, whatever you want to call it. I finally had enough, because I was drinking to go to sleep at night. When you're drinking, you have to buy it, you have to drink it, you have to hide it, because I didn't want my wife to know. And it really was a bad way to live. And Tony mentioned it in the video that it's just very difficult. I ended up going and asking for help from the VA. I'll never forget, I went in and I walked into the mental health department and I said, help. And the lady said, I've got a computer problem. Can you have a seat over there for 30 minutes? So after about 15, I walked out. And another 6 months of that bad behavior. I'm lucky that I was unsuccessful at suicide. Somehow, and I don't even remember how, I got hooked up with the Wounded Warrior Project, where I met some friends that were dealing with the same things I was, and they got me to go to the VA and ask for help again. At about the same time, Jason Halverson was a guy I met, and we were both in the same position when we first met, but then I saw him again and he was doing great. And I said, Jason, what's going on? He goes, Atticus. He had a golden retriever that was helping him. And he encouraged me to come to Helping Paws. And I said, are you out of your mind? I have all my legs and my arms, and got a bit of a limp. But he said, come on, just come. So I came. I sat in the back. And about halfway through the briefing, I had a full-blown panic attack and ran out of the room, which I'm told is not a unique thing based on what happens at some of these classes. And lucky Jason was able to chase me down and some other guys, and they brought me back in the room. For those of you that haven't had any panic issues, that was probably one of the hardest things I've had to do in my life. But I made it through, thinking, just get me out of here. I don't belong. I don't deserve this. Just get me out of here. And I'm sure a lot of you remember Eileen Bone, and you know how tough she is. As a matter of fact, us vets called her Drill Sergeant Eileen. And do you remember, you all remember Jesse Ventura. Jesse was the mayor of Brooklyn Park. He used to come to my fundraisers. He attracted a lot of interesting people. And you remember he had a line in Predator. He said the enemy's dug in like an Alabama tick. Well, that was Eileen, man. She was dug in on me like a tick. She called me and she got the Helping Paws social worker to come visit me. And she got me to come to class where we did the pairing. And when you're a vet and you go to class and you get to meet 6 or 7 dogs, you get to train with them. And they brought us into that old space at the old Helping Paws, and they had a bunch of different dogs. I liked all of them because I love dogs. But during that event, my hips started to hurt, my feet hurt from standing on the concrete, and I was dizzy, and so I kind of fell over. And the last dog I was to train with broke away from his handler and smothered me with kisses and hugs. His name was Copper. And guess whose Copper's brother was? Atticus, Jason's dog. The man who drugged me to Helping Paws, his dog was my dog's brother. So think of that for a minute. I believe it was divine intervention. Copper literally saved my life. It was slow at first, but he went everywhere with me. I took him in airplanes, seaplanes. We went to the Mall of America, went down the flume. I told Eileen about that, and she said, "What?" I had the picture, you know, when you go down, you got the dog, I'm holding on to him. Copper's eyes are about that big around. But you know, when you have these disabilities, this physical and this mental disability, you stay at home. You don't go out. You isolate. My house was built in 1913. We've got those old windows, you know, that you got to lift up, and they got screens on the outside. And on the top, there's 3 different panels. And if you look at it, they kind of look like prison bars. So I felt like I was in prison. And PTS, I don't like the D part, so I call it PTS. It steals your life. I didn't go anywhere, and if I did, I would embarrass myself by finding the safest place and just staying there. I went to Costco one time. Why, I have no idea. I was trying to challenge myself to get out of the house, and this was prior to Copper. And I walked in the front door, I went right to the back of the building, and I sat in the corner by the toilet paper and started to cry. I was frozen. I couldn't get my way out of there. And people stared at me, and they shunned me, and they turned away. But one old man with a Vietnam veteran's hat came up, and he put his arm around me and asked if I was a veteran, and I said yes, and he whispered in my ear that it was going to be okay, and he would get me out of there. Service dogs like Copper help you deal with that invisible wound. They change your channel. They distract you. They drive you nuts when it's time to eat. I don't know how they know when 5 o'clock is rolling around. This one, he runs around in circles. He comes up to me, he puts his paw on me, and then you try to ignore him. They tell you to change his meal time to 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock. It doesn't matter. At 5 o'clock, he wants to eat, and you don't feed him, he's just gonna keep bugging you. But the good thing is, they need to be walked and fed and taken to the vet and cleaned up after they're groomed. And I've become a champion vacuum operator, much to my wife would probably say I'm not, but because Lord, do they shed. They aren't cure-alls though. You have to go to the VA. To my veteran brothers and sisters in here, you gotta go to the VA. You gotta see your doctors, and you gotta take your meds, and you have to live. Sadly, Goldens give so much that they get sick. I was petting Copper one day, and I noticed a couple of lumps in his throat. I rushed him to Inver Grove Heights Animal Hospital, where they diagnosed him with lymphoma. Of course, I was a mess, and I called Eileen. She said, well, we'll get through this. And by the way, Copper doesn't know he's sick. So treat him the same way you have. Just give him more treats and knock off the commands. And she gave me some great advice. She said, tell the vet that to tell you if you're holding on too long, if I was trying to keep him around for me and not for him. She said, you'll know when it's time. I thought she was crazy, but Copper lived about 1.5 years after that. And Inver Grove Heights Animal Hospital, the best. I think it was Dr. Valenti. I can't remember the doctor's name. I'm so bad with my memory, but they have nice rooms, and I laid down next to him, and they made it just a beautiful transition. So I immediately called Helping Paws after that, complete and total mess. And they got me into the queue for a new dog. Well, they said maybe 1 year, 1.5 years. And I thought, what am I gonna do? But Tony got me hooked up with babysitting. Does anyone in here know Houghton? Is Houghton here even? Okay, Houghton was a puppy then. Houghton was a psychopath. I have like one pair of dress shoes. What did Houghton do? He ate them. But what a distraction. What a blessing. What a blessing you home trainers are to deal with these knuckleheads and to turn them into this. I mean, this guy, he just sits and stares at me all the time because I feel like he knows and is worried about me. But thankfully it was kismet. Again, it was about 6 months after he passed that Vanek came home with me. And guess what? Vanek and Copper have the same dad. Cole. Again, you know, Helping Paws is a small world. You really can't make it up. So when you think about giving tonight, rest assured that your money and your contribution saves lives. I honestly believe that I might not be here if it wasn't for Helping Paws and their staff. Alyssa and her team are leading Helping Paws into the future. When I struggle and go deep into the abyss, which happens, Vanek is there. Helping Paws is there. And because of your generosity, I'm here. And I'm a better dad to my sons Owen and Finn, who are 13 and 15, to my beautiful, caring, and loving wife, Jenny. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me my life back. You people are a special breed. And the training that you do and the help that you give people like me at no cost, I don't know how I can ever thank you enough. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight and tell you about myself. Please say hello and remind me what your name is, because thanks, everybody. I was going to have him get it.